Welcome to Fandom Recipes. Today we will be continuing our Lord of the Rings Watch Party Feast series. Today's recipe is for second breakfast.
Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
You've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
We went for more of a savory option when we made our first breakfast of ham, eggs, and crumpets. So today I thought we'd go for a sweeter take on second breakfast. Breakfast dessert, if you will. The centerpiece of today's breakfast is going to be seed cakes. Just like Thorin's ham and eggs, seed cakes appear in the first chapter of The Hobbit. When the unexpected party starts to get into full swing and Balin arrives, he specifically requests seed cakes to have with his pint of beer. Accordingly, Bilbo scurries off to one of his many pantries and fetches two, quote, beautiful round seed cakes. As I see it, seed cakes could readily complement your traditional morning beverages of coffee and tea. Or, have beer for breakfast and I won't judge. Traditional British recipes for seed cakes almost exclusively use caraway seeds. Caraway seeds were a popular spice in Victorian baking on the rare occasion when the working public could afford to exchange their daily bread for cake. 2 years ago, at the watch party my friends and I host every year, I did make a caraway seed cake, and myself and a friend very much enjoyed it. However, the remainder of our guests really did not care much for the flavor of the caraway seeds. If you would like to take a traditional approach and make a caraway seed cake, I would recommend the recipe in Chelsea Monroe Cassell's book, The Shire Cookbook. It turned out very well, so myself and a friend concluded. For today's recipe, however, I wanted to try a version of seed cake that might actually fly at our next watch party this coming December. So we're going to be making mini Poppy Seed Bundt Cakes. The original recipe that I adapted this from was for a full bundt cake in a full-size pan. However, I opted to do smaller bundt cakes that a hobbit could feasibly eat 2 of in a sitting, just as Bilbo does after his first unsettling encounter with Gandalf. Here are the ingredients you need to make a second breakfast that even Pippin would approve of.
Don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.
Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and grease your bundt pan. If you choose to use a full-size bundt as opposed to mini bundt pans, I will leave alternate baking instructions in the recipe card. Cream together your butter and sugar. This should take 2 to 3 minutes until the mixture achieves a fluffy consistency. Stir in 1/4 cup of the milk and your honey and vanilla. In a separate bowl, sift together your dry ingredients, your flour, salt, and baking powder. Then stir in your 1/4 cup of poppy seeds. Alternately add your flour mixture and the additional 3/4 cup of milk to the butter mixture, a little bit at a time, stirring gently after each addition, starting and ending with the dry ingredients. Beat your egg whites to soft peaks in a large bowl. Beating to soft peaks means beating until your egg whites gently hold their shape as you pull back on the whisk. Once you've reached soft peaks, beat in the remaining 1/2 cup of sugar. Using a spatula, gently fold your egg whites into the rest of the batter. Do not overmix so as to ensure that the egg whites retain the air incorporated during the beating process. Spoon or pour your batter into your greased bundt pan. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. If your mini bundt pan is as large as mine, I recommend rotating it halfway through the baking process to ensure that all of the cakes brown evenly. While the cakes bake, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why Lord of the Rings trilogy means so much to me personally. So, like most kids, I grew up going to the movie theaters. There was a local theater about 6 blocks away from my house, but it was always my mother who took me there. My father is not a movie person. For the most part, he does not care, has never cared, and never will care about movies. So on the few occasions where he's actually sat me down to watch something, I pay attention because I know that it's going to be good. So it was even more dramatic when he wanted to not only watch the movie with me, but bring me to the theaters to see it. So I was 9, it was 2001, and Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring came out. We drove to the theater. I got a box of chocolate snow caps from the concession stand, and fell into The Lord of the Rings. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. And at the end, when we finally walk out, we get in the car and all I can do is ask Dad question after question after question about the lore of Middle-earth. I remember being particularly confused and intrigued about the Balrog lore. And at the end of the day, all he says, just read it, just read it. He can't do it justice, just read it. Ever since then, I have loved to live in the Lord of the Rings world, and I love to cook in it. Allow your seed cakes to cool for a few minutes before inverting the pan on a wire rack to remove the cakes from the molds. Proceed to serve your seed cakes with all appropriate second breakfast accoutrements: coffee, tea, butter, honey, and if you're feeling decadent, a sprinkling of powdered sugar.